security is an essential component, so it requires that kind of orientation. And in the drifting away, we need to build a consensus based on the thread of humanity, where we learn from the United Nations experiences as well. So, in all these three, Patel is a leadership material who presents a window of opportunity for everyone, the common citizens to the world leader. Patel becomes a window into addressing all these three issues. So, if we look at India formation times, 1947, 1950, around that zone, if we see, there were 565 princely states. Now in the world we have around 200 plus nation states, and India itself is called in a way as a mini world. And around 1947, when the British Raj was withdrawing from this region, of course British Raj has withdrawn from many other regions in the Asia. From the region of the India, when they left, there were 565 princely states, and for whatever the good and bad, when the British Raj left, they left as they came. So all the princely states, 565, they could be as independent nations, fighting or agreeing with each other, or they can align with the the Republic of India or the Pakistan. So there was an issue, there was an instrument called the letter of accession, which was presented by Patel to all the members, and but for one, that is the Kashmir, 564 members, a majority, more than 2/3 of all of them have signed to join the Republic of India on a particular points of agreement, where all the members were treated as equal partners. So this is too tremendous. Even the British Raj had different levels of agreements with all the princely states, and what the British Raj also could not do in 200 years of time, Patel could do in 2 years of time, where he joined all of them, majority of them in his lifetime of that 47 to 50 January 26th Republic Day. And shortly after he passed away, the rest of the agreements were completed, which he initiated. So 565 ferociously independent-minded regimes with generations of leadership and caring and concern and the whole about the geographical regions coming together as one nation is itself a great historical monumental achievement for mankind. So in the federal structure in India, the land, the law and order, and certain of the issues that were kept in the federal structure of the states, and the foreign issues and the security of the common taken by the central government. These are the themes that Patel becomes a window for all of us to look into it. So the single princely state of Kashmir, where he was prevented from going, whether he still managed to rescue some of it, the single Kashmir being handled by Nehru in a better way or otherwise, is open to question and open to review. Yet that such large diverse group of land, people, culture, food, habits is brought together into single uniform agreement with all is itself a tremendous achievement. And by looking at Patel and his work, we can get into some of the things that go into making such a common agreement. The counter signatory for all these agreements is Patel. So what made as many members trust Patel, or rather what methods and tools and communication Patel did bring in to make as many people, as many regimes come together to form one nation state, is a good thing for the whole world also to look into. What kind of framework of document we are all going to form to get into a new world order. Second, terrorism. It requires an issue of security as an essential component in the existence of the earth, the human mankind. So, in the Indian context at that time, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel was for the newly formed government in India. He was the first deputy prime minister and he was also home minister. And Gandhi and Patel and other members' views on India as a nation having a defense were debated, discussed deeply at that time. And though not much is discussed at this time, Gandhi was seen not so keen to have a strong defense force, where Patel was mentioning about achieving the freedom is one thing and we should have a strong defense so that further attacks are prevented. So defense and having defense equipment building capacity as part of the Indian enterprise was one of Patel's vision. And post his demise, India, instead of building more of defense instruments in spite of having industrial capacity, chose for some reason, for various reasons, procuring equipment and technology from outside, which also added to huge amounts of exchequer. Not going into whether buying from outside or make in India as it is attempted now, defense as an essential component is also a facet we get to watch when we observe Patel. So Patel is a single window for us to look into. Both pollution, the cooperation required to address the pollution or any other issue, and security as a common point for all the members. And third, what makes it for all the members to come together, the integrity, the unity. Even this proposed statue is tentatively titled as Statue of Unity, not just mentioned as a Sardar Patel statue. Still, we'll come to that later on. So, the world requires a leadership, different models of leadership. We have to evolve different facets of leadership to enable youth to come together, to enable enterprises to integrate in a better way, have a fast track dispute resolution, redressal issues, arbitrations. The new world order requires an inclusive, unifying, integrating leadership. Now, how do we get this? Either we do trial and error, or we develop new models by studying the Nobel Prizes in the economics and the different sciences and the social sciences, bring the scholars together, philosophers together, conduct meetings and study different successes and failures in different parts of the world and present a model. And in addition to this, look into our common history. It's not just Indian history is for Indians, or American history is for Americans, and the Argentinian history is for Argentines. It's a world history. As world citizens, we all share our heritage and history. So, in that context, there is a saying that one who forgets history is condemned to repeat the same mistake. So, not going into forgetting history, we always tend and we look into the history and get benefits from studying Kautilya Shastra, the Chanakya for economics as well as the leadership, and we study the leadership of Abraham Lincoln, that famous speech, Abraham Lincoln, the fourscore, that speech, many of the Churchill quotes, and numerous case studies from the history, Roman Empire to the fall of Roman Empire, rise. So much of world history is studied by enterprises, politics and the students to know so much about the methods and the human psychology. And in that context, the present commotion and the digitally connected and physically and psychologically drifting away situation in the world requires unifying examples of unifying leadership. So, for example, I was studying Lee Kuan Yew. So, Lee Kuan Yew is a global leadership material. Though he headed a small nation state like Singapore, what he achieved in Singapore is significant in twofold. Multi-ethnicity is being unified, and also in the world of so much of economic disparity, he made the newly formed third world state to become an internationally standard city as a role model example. And very many leaders and administrators take Lee Kuan Yew as a role model and a model to study. So one of the things he says is about building a fair state, not a welfare state. So each chapter in his autobiography is a lesson in itself, an illustration in itself. So we have the world leadership examples to draw lessons and insights from. And Patel is this special example in this scenario because he brings together the practical difficulties and the methods of working with as tall leaders as fellow members Subhash Chandra Bose, Nehru, Gandhi, and other so many members within India, and also having communications with the world leadership of that time. So he brings a unique facet of having had difficulties over wider geography, unlike many other leaders. Many other tall leaders have achieved tremendous things where the populace is united by a region or a language or a culture. Whereas in Indian scenario, Patel had to deal with diversity as much as one can think of. So in language, in food, in anything, there is less of similarity except a feel. There is difference in everything else, right from the dresses and everything, hairstyles and everything. So the world is just another example. So if we look not at Patel, but what Patel had to do and what facets he addressed in what way with limitations, potentials and everything, perhaps we can come to terms with what kind of approaches may work in bringing the new world order together, taking in the insights from the existing leadership and the experience of the United Nations and the world history at large. So the world requires Patel. How do we present Patel to the world then? Because we have the material and the history and the works and the friends and the friends of Patel and the works of Patel literature. So it is up to India to present Patel to the world. It's a win-win-win-win scenario. India is aspiring for a prominent position in the world scenario. And such can happen only when India becomes a contributive member, not just saying that we are large nation, large population and the largest democracy. Size, yes, does matter, but size itself is not the only thing that makes people respect. A rich person may have become rich by virtue of all the works and the discipline and everything, but the city's population will not respect the person only for the wealth. It is for the contributive nature of the person that the person will be valued and respected, and the word and the legacy will be carried forward, not just the wealth or the size. So, in addition to the largest population living in peace, in spite of differences, finding ways of discussion and debate, India at this juncture in 2018 and looking ahead into 2050 and the next coming decades, if it has to be a global force, it also has to contribute even more in many facets. So, in the leadership requirement of the world, India can present Patel as an example. He is my point. And like yoga and the satyagraha, ahimsa, and some of the concepts of Chanakya, economics and everything, and the Vijayanagara Empire and the dropping down of the sword by Ashoka, Patel is one such offering from India to ourselves and to